everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mixtape Matinee Podcast. I'm your host, Cole.
And I'm Court.
And today we have on Evan Minsker, the music journalist.
Yeah, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being on, Evan. I just want to start out, me and my wife are huge fans of what you do.
Oh my God. That's so nice. So, okay, you've definitely sent me your music, right? Cole, are we allowed to talk about this? Is this okay?
Oh,
I'm not,
if you want, I don't care. Yeah, sure.
not breaking kayfabe here by saying I've got definitely, like, I think literally I could probably go off camera and grab a blood cannery tape that you sent me, right?
Yeah,
cool.
I sent you my kind of gore grind kind of thing that I did. Yeah. So.
Yeah, wait, here we go. I've got a couple here we go. I've got this, wait, what is this? Cannery, no canary? Is that what this is?
Yeah, it's cannery, not canary. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then this one is, are you involved in this one too? The Frenzied tape?
Yeah, Zap Pack. Yeah, so that's me and my wife's
Hell yeah.
band. So.
I love this Zap Pack tape. I was like, so yeah, it means a lot that you all are into what I do because I'm very into what you all are doing over there.
Yeah, and like we're definitely on the same wavelengths of like the same bands that we both listen to. I just got this Jean Mignon shirt.
I was admiring your Jean Mignon shirt. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's so cool. Anyway, yeah, we're just big punk nerds over here at this house. So
fantastic. And you guys are based in where are you guys
Idaho
based?
Falls.
Idaho Falls. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been out that way. How is it over there?
It's in the middle of nowhere, so it's fine. We're about an hour and a half away from Yellowstone. So
gotcha. Yeah. I knew a guy who grew up in Idaho, and he was talking about it. And he was like, and I was like, yeah, I've never been out that way. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Sort of just like
I mean, we're kind of just holding down the music scene here because there needs to be cool music. So anyway,
yeah,
that's
100%.
kind of and we just do house shows out of our garage and stuff. So kind of fun. Yeah, but we wanted to have you on today because, like I said, we're huge fans of what you do with Seesaw and your music reviewing website and all that. But I guess kind of to first start off, I'm just curious, where did you grow up in Wisconsin? Or are you originally from there?
No, I'm I grew up in Huntington, West Virginia, which I just was there for the first 18 years of my life. So Huntington is like a part of, they call it the tri-state area. It's but there are like 100 of those in this country. But it was West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. So it's just sort of like right in the pocket of those three states. And music didn't come to Huntington to speak of, really. There was music came, but it was always like, oh, is ZZ Top or playing the state fair or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is awesome, but it's like not, like if I wanted to go see like a new good band, I would have to drive to like Columbus or Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, and because I was like a teenager, I had like to get a parent to drive me to one of those places. So
right.
It was like,
yeah.
So I moved to Chicago for college, which was like, a pretty good idea, but like they didn't have like all ages shows in Chicago, so it was like, had to wait till I turned 21 to see a bunch of stuff, but that's fine. And then I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan for 10 years because I basically followed my then girlfriend, now wife, because she was going to grad school out there. And lived out there, kind of was like more embedded in like the Detroit punk scene for like about a decade. And then, in 2019, she got a job out here in Western Wisconsin. So, and I live like kind of between like the Minneapolis and Eau Claire areas. So, that's what's
cool.
going on. I've been ping ponging all around the Midwest after living in Appalachia.
That's cool. Like, the Detroit punk scene. So you're like into like the Dirt Bombs and the Gories and all those 100%. Kind of bands. Yeah.
I mean, like that was definitely like before my time in Detroit, but it's like I was lucky enough to like see, like Tyvek and a lot of like the entire Urinal Cake Records scene kind of came through. Timmy's Organism. Who else? Jeez, like there's so many bands, but I was really lucky to get to like hang out near a lot of that stuff. Proto Martyr was obviously like kind of a bigger one for me too, and but also just like Wolf Eyes. Like there was just a ton of incredible bands out of Detroit.
Yeah, that's cool. So as far like when you were growing up, like what was like one of the first albums that you really like that you went out and actually like bought for yourself, like physically? Do you remember that?
Okay, well, like, there's the real answer, which is like my mom gave me, whatever, $10 when I was like really little. I was like probably like 4 years old or 5 years old, and I was really into comic books at the time. So we were in the CD store, and I found a copy of a Joe Satriani album called "Surfing with the Alien," which has just got the Silver Surfer on the album cover. So I was like, I want this one because it's got the Silver Surfer on it. And then I took it home and I put it on, and I was like, I don't understand at all what is happening with this instrumental vibes rock. So that was like the actual first CD that I bought for myself. But then like, I don't know. Like I remember my mom worked at Borders when I was in high school and like middle school. So she had like an employee discount. So I would always just be like, Mom, like here's my like whatever, petty cash. I want a copy of. I remember like the first one that I got. It was like a greatest hits album by The Who. So it was just like,
oh, nice.
The Who like Ultimate Masters or something, like whatever, like 20th century, whatever it was. Like there was like in the
big
CD
compilation.
Yeah, the CD era of like it was like a big old compilation that just had all the hits on it or whatever, and I was like just so stoked about it at the time. But yeah, but yeah.
What was like the first punk music though that you really gravitated towards?
The Ramones, big time. I mean, like definitely like my so the same deal. Like my mom worked at Borders. She worked with some cool people because like it was like the only place in town where like cool people like consistently worked was the Borders. But like my mom was already into the Ramones, and then I was like, she got, again, it was like a compilation. It was like a best of like it's called All the Stuff and More is what it's 2 volumes called The Ramones, All the Stuff and More. And I remember just like running those CDs into the ground, and then like that was really the gateway for me. But it was like that, and then like this guy Nathan who worked with my mom at Borders was really cool, and he was like, "Oh, you're into the Ramones?" He's like, and he was at Borders and he handed me a book. He was like, "You got to get this," and it was "Please Kill Me" by Legs McNeil, the oral history of like the first wave punk scene. And then I was just like,
oh, cool.
In middle school, like reading this like paperback of "Please Kill Me" on the school bus. Like it was so that was like kind of my first big punk stuff. And then that
cool.
Same guy put on a show at the Huntington American Legion called Punk Rock Prom that was headlined by the Lost Sounds, Jay Retard's band. So like it was like 7th grade, I got to see the Lost Sounds perform in like this American Legion in Huntington, and it was like
that's awesome.
It was very much like an awakening moment, and my mom was like again there, just like hanging out because I'm in middle school, and it's like, and so and it was great. But then she like about 3 songs in, she's like, "All right, man, we gotta go. Like it's late," and I was just like, "No, we've got to stay forever. This is life changing." And it's like, no, had to go.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I found a treasure trove of some fun info on your Reddit Ask Me Anything.
Okay.
And one of the things that somebody pressed you on was asking for your top 3 punk LPs.
Oh, wow.
And this may have changed, but this is what I have down: Natural Man Band, Living in a Chemical World.
Yep.
Hank Wood and the Hammerheads, Stay Home.
Yep. And
then Ramones, Rocket to Russia.
Yeah, that's honestly like those are kind of consistently in the top 5 for me lately. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's right. Yeah.
And that's so cool that one of your first exposures to punk that really got you into it was Ramones.
I mean, I remember. So it was like I was a teenager in like the early 2000s, and I have this memory of going to, oh God, I can't remember the name of the store anymore, but there was like a record store, like not in Huntington, but like a couple towns over, and I remember going just on a whim, and they clearly had just bought like a good collection. So like I picked up, I remember it was like the B-52 self-titled and like a couple other records. it was the Clash's Give 'Em Enough Rope was one, and then the Ramones Rockets of Russia was one. Like I found like an OG press like clean copy of Rockets of Russia for like, and in like 2002 2003 I found it in West Virginia for like $7 or something, like, or $6, like something ridiculous. Like now if you found it, it'd be like $25-$30 or whatever. But I remember like bringing it home and just like blasting that record repeatedly. Like that was like probably the first, like, you know, that is like the first formative like actual punk album for me, where it's like I just listen. That song is that whole record is like in my DNA, where it's like I've listened to it so much, so often over the years that it's like I know it front to back by heart, no problem.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Growing up, were you ever in any bands?
Yeah. Thankfully, there's not a lot of evidence of them, but yeah, I was in a few bands. I was in a couple bands. Just like, you know, like middle school, high school type bands where it was like, I remember, shout out Sarah Fields and Ryan Sargent, and we were in a band called Explosive Monkey, and we played just covers, and our one gig that we had was Civil War Day in Guyandotte, West Virginia, so they had like a reenactment in town. So like people were in like full like, you know, like soldier
uniforms.
costumes.
Yeah.
And then me and my little shithead friends were just like outside of a library where Sarah's mom worked, and we were just like playing like Millencolin covers essentially on acoustic instruments. It was like and like every now and then a soldier would come by and just be like, "Hey, it's pretty cool, man." Like, you know, just like
that's cool.
Throw a dollar into the case or whatever. That's about the extent of it. Like I had a couple like false start bands when I was in college too. And one of my homies who was in a band with me in college went on to be in, not super well known, but should be checked out by anybody who's into like real heavy psych. My friend Jack was in a band called Haunted Leather from Grand Rapids, Michigan. That band rips. That band was so good. I saw them play
check them out
so many times. Haunted Leather. Yeah,
I've never heard of them. That's cool.
You're a great storyteller. You're really good at painting a picture.
Thank you.
It makes sense. I mean, you have the journalistic chops and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw a fun story. What do Fugazi and Blade 2?
What's that about?
Oh man.
Yeah, what do they have to do with each other?
Okay, so Fugazi played Huntington, and it was again same dude through that show. My mom's friend who she worked with, he helped book that show, and it was supposed to be somewhere, and then it got like moved because it got too popular or whatever. And at this point, Fugazi were like, it was their last set of shows, and I didn't know that at the time, but I remember being like, I've got to go see Fugazi. And like, the friends who I was going with were just dragging ass, and they did not get their butts out the door fast enough. So we just ended up out on the street, and there was just a crazy line getting into the venue, and I just could not get in. Tried to call my friend, he couldn't get us in, and it was like a $6 show, packed out, and it's like archived. Like, if you've got all of Fugazi shit is archived. So like, I've gone back, I've listened to it. Great show. For sure, but I got left out in the cold, so my friends and I went and saw Blade 2, and it was like the most demoralizing night. Like, it just like my stomach was just like in a knot. I don't remember anything about the film Blade 2, but the funny thing about that story, and I don't remember where did I tell this story? Where did you find this story?
That was on your Reddit AMA.
It was on the Reddit. So the funny thing about that story that I don't think I have told, is that last summer I met Ian Mackay from Fugazi.
Oh, that's sick.
Oh wow.
And without prompting it really at all, he was like, "Wait, so Evan, did you grow up?" Because it was me and my cousin Mark were hanging out, because my cousin Mark knows Ian a little bit, and I was over at the Discord house. Like, it was just like a very surreal day in my life.
That's
where I'm
crazy.
hanging out. Where
You're
I'm
on the
hanging
front
out with
porch.
Ian. Yeah, I was on the porch. There's a photo. It's all
Dang,
good.
that's crazy.
Oh, we should link
But
that.
then like So Ian was like, hey, so did you grow up in Bethesda, like around where your cousin grew up, or Columbia, Maryland, wherever he knew about like my cousin living at the time? And I was like, no, I grew up in Huntington, West Virginia. He was like, hey, did you go to that Fugazi show at the Stone Monkey 2006? And I was like, no, man, I was left out in the cold. And he was like, and he turned to my cousin. He was like, but you saw Fugazi, right? And he was like, no, man, I never got a chance to see Fugazi. He's like, what's going on with you Minskers? He's like, you guys, it's like, hey, you go see Fugazi or whatever. And then, but at the end of the visit, he did turn to me and he was like, hey, listen, you know how many people were in that room at the Stone Monkey? 100 people. Now one of them has been in this house. And I was like,
there you go.
Awesome.
That's true.
Hey, that's
really true.
That's cool that you got to meet him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Ian's an awesome dude. I obviously I'm very honored that I got to spend any time with him. But,
and
yeah,
the fact that he was able to recall like the show, like that's amazing.
It was cool. Like I also said, like I was like, no, the only time I've seen you perform is I saw you perform at the Evens in Ypsilanti, Michigan. He was like, that was at that puppet theater show. That was a big show for us. That show was really important. And it's like he's just got a locked in memory for his archive.
That's amazing.
For his,
wow.
Yeah, he's a really genuinely like he's a very sharp person. Like he knows, he remembers every single thing he's done. I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's awesome. My next question for you, I'm just curious. I mean, I know you've probably told this story, but how did you get into music journalism, and then how did you eventually get it writing for Pitchfork?
Yeah, I mean, I really was. So I read Pitchfork throughout high school and was just like, that was what I wanted to do. I just, and so my friends and I studied journalism in high school. I was on the high school paper. My friend Badkins, who was a doctor, his name's Brian Adkins. We all call him Badkins because that's his login. You know, like how like you log in the computer as B Adkins. He was Badkins. So like
Badkins, that's awesome.
So Dr. Badkins and I were like always writing, reviews of like records that were always like obviously like written up in Pitchfork and all that stuff. So like we were writing about all these like weird indie rock records and stuff, and frustrating everybody who was like on staff and our teacher and all that stuff. And but I just kept trying to like make that happen as like a writer. So I ended up, figuring out that like the college that I was going to in Chicago had a journalism program where people had interned at Pitchfork, and I applied for that school, got in, and you just kind of pursued that, and then kind of on the off chance, like it happened, I got to intern at Pitchfork by the end of my time at college, and kind of got my foot in the door, and really like it all kind of fell into place in this way that doesn't happen anymore. It kind of feels like people still kind of like in New York, I think, really, because I was in Chicago, and it was when The Office was in Chicago, and now people in New York, it happens for them sometimes where they'll get like it's called a fellowship now. At the time it was called an internship, and they'll like move up the ranks or whatever, and like impress the right people with the right kind of work or whatever. But yeah, I interned there for a few months, and then kept in touch with Mark Richardson, who became the editor-in-chief, and he asked me if I would be willing to work nights and weekends, and I was the first night and weekend news person, and I just kind of like hung around after that. Like, so that's kind of how that all shook out. So it was really like a weird, like I had like a plan, and then I just kind of managed to fall into it actually happening, which was really lucky. Like I'm extremely, extremely lucky that it all worked out, because it's all I wanted to do. Like I didn't have like another I didn't have
you
like
didn't have
another,
a plan B.
I didn't have a career in journalism that I wanted to do otherwise.
Yeah. That's cool. What would you say is the main thing that you learned at your time at Pitchfork?
I mean, I learned how to be a really good reporter, honestly. Like, and it's funny because I don't like, I use it sometimes now, but like, I was the news director, was my last job at Pitchfork. And that was just like, there's that thing where when you get into music journalism, I think that you just think that it's like a fun journalism job, but in fact, it's just a journalism job after a while. Cause it's like, you still have to like chase down sources and like double confirm things, and like there's the version of the job that like the musicians can control, and that job is easy because it's just like, this person announced a new album. All right, I'm going to write about it. Here's the music video. Here's when it comes out. Here's the artwork. Here's the track list, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the part of the job that like they absolutely, the musicians and the labels and like the managers and the PR people do not want you to be doing, which is like, hey, this person has been arrested for assault or like whatever, like just like really heavy, awful things, or like this person has been sued for this, or this person has died or whatever. So like, you know, the shitty part of the job was like calling relatives of people who had died to confirm that they were in fact dead, or like, you know, calling like just any version of that where it's like, hey, I need you to comment, like this person has accused you of this. What do you have to say in response to that? And it's like you very quickly just, I don't know. It's not like romantic. It's very much like you're doing
just the
grind. You're doing it's a grind. It's journalism. You know, it's like you have to reckon with the sad and scary and dark shit just as much as you have to like do the fun stuff where it's like, ooh, 9 Inch Nails are going on tour or whatever. It's like that's easy. That's fun. But everything like so I think the thing that I learned was like how to be a really good reporter and how to like, you know, talk to, you know, call the right people and like chase down the story and make sure it's right and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a real crash course in how to be a good journalist. Yeah.
I have a question that's kind of connected to something you just said, like how to track down a story. How do you now with your with Seesaw and with your podcast
Punk this week.
Punk this week.
Yeah,
I was going to say this week in Punk this week. How do you like hone in on what you're going to cover?
That's actually really easy in some ways because now I'm in charge. So it's like
so you get to decide.
Yeah. So it's a little bit just like what is exciting, I think, is really where I end up gravitating. Like it's funny, like every week with Seesaw, like with the Punk This Week column, I just write as much as I can in like a work day is kind of how it feels. Like it's like Friday, I wake up as early as I can. I write as much as I can before I have to like be a dad or like, you know, like be a real person. And that means I can write about a lot of different records. For the podcast, it's a little more of like a winnowing down into like what are like, it's kind of like this inexact science of like, what's the headliner? What's something that people must listen to? What's one that is like so exciting, but like you'll never hear about it unless like you're really, really, really tuned in. And then like, what's something that's like kind of like either like veers one way or the other in the middle. So it's like, you know, so this week we just recorded one, and the 3 that I brought were, let me see if I can remember. They were all Australian. I remember I like, of course, because I'm such a mark for all Australian punk rock.
That's where a lot of the good stuff comes from.
That's where so much of the good stuff comes from. No, it was the headliner was the Prize record that just came out on Goner. The second one was the new Billiam 7-inch, which is sick.
Yeah,
and
I just listened to that.
It's really good. And then the third one was by they're a hardcore band from Perth called Gob, G-O-B.
Tabitha, my wife's talked about them.
They're super good.
We honestly should have had Tabitha on because she's so tapped in. But yeah.
Oh man, hey, we'll do it again. That sounds fun.
Yeah, my wife is like even more tapped in than I am, but she gets way excited about it. But
I'm trying to think if we've had any Australian punk. Oh, we did Amyl and the Sniffers.
We did an episode on Amyl and the Sniffers. So but
hell yeah.
But there's so much good Australian bands. But
it's crazy. But that one was really fun because it was like this week, and that was another one where I almost brought the Nape Neck record that just came out, and I was like, and that's fun because with Nina I can just sort of be like, hey, I've got like 4 I want to do. Would you want to do any of these? Or like if not, I'll just figure out which one I'm going to drop. And then she was like, no, I love that Nape Neck record. I'll pick that one. I'll do these other 2.
Sick.
Cool. So it's like, it's kind of, we just have like a moving conversation. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, it's just like, what's exciting to me? Like what, you know, what makes it like, because I listen to so much stuff. like at this point that inevitably there's like a record or two that just like completely, you know, kind of like pops above the rest of them for me.
Yeah. So if I remember right, your co-host for the podcast, does she still write for Rolling Stone?
Now, she writes for Rolling Stone sometimes. She
Okay.
writes for Pitchfork as a part-time staff writer currently.
Okay.
And yeah, no, like Nina
So
is, you know, she writes all over the place. Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I guess my next question is actually related to what you just said. Like Tabitha's main question that she wanted to ask you is, yeah, how do you find all the music that you listen to, and like, yeah, like how are you finding so much music? Is it Bandcamp? Is it YouTube? Is it you just following labels on Instagram?
It is a combination of all three of those things for sure. So like over the years, I think I've just sort of like gradually like started following more and more and more things on Bandcamp and get like, you know, a billion emails a week from various like Bandcamp notifications. But then also I've started to like follow a lot of things on Instagram through the Seesaw account on Instagram. And there's also, you know, I guess what was the third thing? I mean, sometimes I'll like. There's definitely a few YouTube channels that Tremendo Garage.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Tremendo Garage is a great one. They just posted the new Heather the Jerk 7-inch on Goodbye Boozy.
Yeah, I just saw that today. I saw that this morning. I was
So
like, I gotta
good.
listen to that.
So sick. It's really good. And then, you know, there are a few other YouTube channels. Fellow Punk is one. Like they're a handful, but like, then the real one is that like. I'm really lucky that like all these dudes who I was just already following on Bandcamp, just people who were like buying records on Bandcamp, those people are now on the Seesaw Discord, and they're just dropping links all the time on the Discord. So now like
so you can that's awesome. So they're helping you out.
Yeah, well they're helping. We're all helping each other out because
Yeah.
like I'm dropping stuff on there. Groshi's in there.
Is Sims in there?
Who?
Sims? U2 is a government
Sims,
drone.
I wish Sims was in there. No, Sims.
He hasn't been posting lately. He used to post a lot of stuff on his story, but
yeah, then he got that Bandcamp money. Now he's gotta save it up. You gotta save them blurbs
do you
up.
ever? That was my other question. Do you ever write for Bandcamp or?
No, I don't write for Bandcamp. You know, I had some friends who worked there, and now they don't, and so I don't write for them. But that's cool.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't begrudge anyone who writes for Bandcamp. Like the people who run Bandcamp Daily, I have like friends who were running editorial at Bandcamp Daily, and then there was a change of management. Like, so it was owned by Epic Games,
Right.
you know, like Fortnite. It was owned by the Fortnite company, and then they
okay.
sold it to Song Trader. When they sold it to Song Trader, all these people who were in the Bandcamp union got laid off all of a sudden.
Oh, dang.
So it was
there's
kind
all
of
this stuff that I didn't know. I did not know all that.
And then like, you know, there is a guy who's still in charge there who had said some like kind of pointedly anti-union things, and so I just sort of feel like, look, as a former Pitchfork union person, it's just like a arbitrary line that I'm drawing where it's like I'll just write for myself.
No,
it's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. And plus it's easy. You don't have to deal with all that stuff. And and then I guess part of that last question I asked is like, where do you find the time to listen to all of it? Are you listening to it like while you're writing, or do you have a certain time that you set for listening?
I listen to it while I'm writing. I listen to it just kind of honestly, like that's just my Friday. Is just like a lot of like that's
really
just my
busy.
day. I wake up early. I listen to a ton of punk rock music. Sometimes I'll get an advance and like I can write something beforehand or whatever. But like really, it's like I used to be a night hours kind of person. Now I'm kind of like working these early hours, and it's just sort of like that's like something that a lot of my like mentors in music writing taught me was like, hey, like if you wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, that's your time. Like I hear like video games journalists talk about that too, where it's like if you wake up like bright and early in the morning, like that's your time. That's your time where you can like explore the space and think about the record or think about the game or whatever. And yeah, I mean that's like, so I try to wake up early and just hang out with records and think about it. But the other thing with Seesaw is like this column is like a recommendations column where it's very much like these are my initial impressions. This definitely isn't like a 700 word Pitchfork review. This definitely isn't something where like I would take, you know, if I was like really reviewing something seriously, like, and it was just dedicating all my attention to one record, I would take a couple of weeks with it and like drive around with it and like take it for a jog or like, you know, whatever, like listen to it in as many environments as I could and like really pour over the lyrics sheet and ask the, you know, PR person as many questions, or the label or whoever, as many questions as I've got. But you know, for Seesaw, for like Punk This Week, my column, my weekly Friday column on c-saw.fun, please subscribe. it's like,
yes, please subscribe, everybody.
but like that's the thing, is like I just sort of like I take it in, I, you know, listen a couple of times through, and I just give my initial reactions and try to write as eloquently as I can, and then just keep moving, because there's like there's a fire hose of punk rock we can't keep up if we linger too long.
Yeah.
I have a question kind of related to what you were just talking about, like how if you were doing like a in-depth piece on a record, you would spend a lot of time with it. Yes. And my question is, have you ever had your first impression of a record significantly shift after spending a lot of time with a record?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I think the best example I can think of that is that the band, like, I think specifically the band Protomartyr is a band where, like, I remember having this feeling of, like, oh, I really like, the first record was called No Passion, All Technique, and I remember thinking, like, oh, I like this is good, this is interesting, and then I listened to it over and over and over and over and over again, and it just like deepened into like a full-on obsession, and like became like an album that I was like, I at Pitchfork, like you'd have to like really really go to bat hard if you believed in a record, and like if nobody else was listening, it was just sort of like, okay, it'll get like a mid-7 or something like that. So I was like trying to just like really drum up support for it because I was obsessed with that record, and I was like kind of like pounding the drum of like, this record, if you listen to this record 5 times, it will change your life or something like that. And I really do think that like those records in particular had like a real depth to them that was like, I don't know, just like, I think that some records really reward repeat listening. I think there are occasionally records where like you listen once and you're like, yeah, this is great, and then like you keep listening, you're like, okay, maybe it's a little thin or whatever. Like sometimes it goes the other way, but I can't think of great examples of that right now.
So I don't have a big background in punk. Cole has introduced me to a lot. I kind of come more from a folk music. That's more what my taste was, but now I'm integrating more and more punk into my my
repertoire.
Hell yeah.
My question for you though, and I wouldn't describe myself as a skeptic regarding punk, but if you had to convert a skeptic to punk, what are 3 songs that you would choose to convert a punk skeptic?
3 songs?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. I Want to Be Your Dog by the Stooges.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Wow, this is hard. This is really, really hard because, like, now here's my real answer is that I think that if people are inherently skeptical, like, I almost don't want to waste my time, like, trying to convert them. But so that is actually like my baseline, which I know is like, you know, lazy, because it's like I do proselytize about the power of rock and roll and punk rock and all that stuff a lot. But that said, like, I Want to Be Your Dog is like kind of a slam dunk. Oh, Bondage Up Yours by X-Ray Specs is a slam dunk. And
it's a good one.
What's a third one? I mean, like, I want to pick something newer because I just picked 2. Like, I kind of went like 60s, 70s, and if I had to pick something from like the last few years, I'm like looking around at like records in my office to be like, is there anything that's gonna like speak to me right now? I don't know. Probably like there's a record. I mean, it's not like the best punk song ever or anything, but there's this hardcore band out of Europe called Oust, Oust, and they have a song called "I'd Rather Be a Fuck Up Than a Fascist." I like that one a lot.
I think that trended on TikTok.
Yeah, that's
So
a really
that's
good
cool.
one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Those are good answers. I like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is Seesaw? Does that come from the Jay Retard song?
Yeah, 100%. That song.
Sick.
There's also a song. So like, there's this Memphis soul singer from. I'm big into like, one of the things I was like really obsessed with, kind of like concurrently a little bit with punk, was like Memphis soul, like Stax and a lot of that stuff. But there's a Memphis soul guy. He wasn't like a purely Stax guy. I think he recorded for Atlantic, but he wrote a couple of songs that were recorded by like Aretha Franklin and stuff. His name was Don Covay, and he did a song called Seesaw too. So it's like there's like, weirdly, I think because it was like, well, there are two Memphis songs. I love Memphis music called Seesaw, and it just sort of like kind of snapped into place. But the other thing was like, my old punk column at Pitchfork was called Shake Appeal, which was a Stooges song, and it was just like, okay, like I've got to do another sound alike, or like another like, you know,
song related thing. Yeah,
exactly. That's the connective tissue, is I've got to like do like a classic song and sort of have it like coalesce.
Yeah. As far as like physical media, do you get a lot of people sending you music? And kind of the second question to that is, do you have more cassettes or more LPs?
I've got more LPs for sure. I mean, mostly because I offloaded a lot of cassettes. Mostly because I collected records when I was like a teenager. So like I've got like back there is like kind of like the beginning of it, and then there's more beyond that. But for those listening and not, I was just gesturing. In my office there are a lot of records. But I do have a lot of like I've got a good amount of tapes. Like literally, like I've got a bag full of tapes over here. Here's like a handful here. I've like they're all around like. I've got some good tapes here, though. I've got, dude, this Mr. Redacted tape. Have you listened to Mr. Redacted?
I don't think I have, no.
In Mr. Redacted, this is on Ragdoll Records, which is like,
okay.
I think based in Georgia, maybe Florida, but like that label has been putting out so many good tapes. Here's another one, actually, I've got right here. It's by a band called Misprints out of Milwaukee. And this record's called Stars. This one's amazing too, but like, yeah, I buy a lot of tapes. Like people mostly send me like, records. Like I'm very lucky when people send me records. It's very, very, very nice. And I'm extremely appreciative. The coolest shit is when like I'm at a show for a band that's like, and then a person who is not playing that show was like, hey, what's going on? I saw I saw that you were here, so I ran to my car and I grabbed you this tape from my band or whatever.
Wow, that's cool.
That's really nice. Like that feels really good. So like I'm genuinely I love it. I love that people give me their stuff, but then I have like a pile of stuff that I am always fighting to like get to the bottom of. So it's like
that's cool.
It's great, and I feel like, man, I've got so many records. I need to get to the bottom of this at some point.
Yeah, I was like, okay, we gotta send it to Seesaw. We gotta send it to Evan. That's what I was like for the tapes for sure.
No, I was
same
really
mentality.
I was so excited to get these tapes. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, our podcast, we talk both about music and movies.
Yes.
We had you select a film.
Yes.
And then we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
And I was very surprised by your pick, but I love it. Do you want to introduce the movie, Evan, that we decided to watch?
I don't have like the details open in front of me or anything, but I selected A Room with a View, which is a movie I've seen like probably a dozen times at this point. But A Room with a View, based on the E.M. Forster classic novel. It's 1985 movie directed by James Ivory.
This way, Mrs. Honeychurch. Follow me.
Do you know anything about Miss Lavish's novel? There's a scene in it. The hero and heroine make love. Do you know about it? They're on a hillside and Florence is in the distance.
Oh, dearest girl, she hasn't put that in her love.
My attitude, quite an indefensible one, is that so long as I'm no trouble to anyone, I have the right to do as I like. It is, I dare say, an example of my decadence.
You don't mean you're going to marry them, then? He's the sort who can't know anyone intimately, least of all a woman.
You love the boy body and soul as he loves you.
Of course I do. What did you all think?
It's one of these movies where it's like when I first saw it, I was like, how the fuck did I not know about this movie? Because it had like, it's just a who's who of like incredible British actors. So it's like
Yeah.
It's true.
1985.
It's exactly what we said when we
Yeah.
were watching
It's
it.
like, oh, these are heavyweights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like you got like in the opening scene, you've got like Helena Bonham Carter, who's very young, Maggie Smith, and Judi Dench, and that alone is like that's nuts. That's a lot. And then Julian Sands plays George Emerson, who's like the love interest, kind of the romantic interest, I should say. And then later in the film, you're introduced to this character Cecil Vyse, who is played by Daniel Day-Lewis, and it's like, and he's like the most like awkward, completely like he's so proper that he cannot like see like romance in front of him at all or whatever. So it's like it's a romance. The story is a romance. It's about a British girl who goes to Florence and then is swept up in this very momentary romance with George Emerson, and then comes back to England and settles for this like essentially like this dweeb who is like completely like he's way too
Totally
buttoned
dweeb.
up, has like no
Very snooty.
he has no game at all. He's just like all books and he's like all books and like intellectualism and everything like that. And he's played perfectly by Daniel Day-Lewis. And the legend of this movie is that they offered Daniel Day-Lewis the part of George Emerson, like the romantic lead, and he was like, no, I want to play this guy. And it's like the movie is so much better for it.
Yeah.
There's an iconic scene,
Yes.
the skinny dipping scene,
Yes.
Which I was not expecting.
I
that.
wasn't either,
I was
but
not expecting that.
but
at all.
it's crazy. Like class goes out the window. Being a vicar goes out the window. Like all that disappears, and they just have this rollicking time naked in a pond. My question is, if you had to soundtrack that scene with a punk song, what would you choose?
Oh man, I mean, like it's really easy. Like honestly, it would be really fun to just put it. Like I mean, the immediate answer, like there's probably like deep cuts that I could pick or whatever.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came to mind was Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones, because it would just be
Nice.
like it'd be very like it's
While
very
they're running
fun.
around.
Oh yeah, like they're having the best time. Like I mean, really, like so much great Australian music could actually be in there too. But it should be British, right? It should be British. You know what? Let's go back.
yeah.
It should definitely be British. So at that point, it's like, all right, hold on, I gotta think about this. All right.
Also, while you're looking that up, I just thought it was funny when I was watching like the skinny dipping scene. I was like, oh my gosh, the dude from Ace Ventura is getting naked.
Yeah,
Like
that's right.
Like I just thought, because like I don't even remember the actor's name, but I just remember him as like that stuck up dude in Ace Ventura, which is kind of funny. Like that's like what I remember. And then also in the movie, the lead, his dad is the dude from all the Indiana Jones movies, Brody, who's like the professor.
Yeah, you picked up on that. I didn't
Yeah.
pick up on that.
It's the
Yeah.
same guy
Mr.
from the,
Wait, Mr. Emerson?
yeah, is Brody from the Indiana Jones movies.
I did not.
That's
pick up on
crazy.
that.
I didn't pick up on that either. See, Mr. Emerson is probably my favorite character in the whole thing, because he's just like he's the only one who just like to me, this movie, it's about like class, it's about like propriety and like you know what wins out between like you know passion and you know what's quote unquote right or whatever. And there's this scene. Like in the beginning of the movie, there's the scene where, you know, so Maggie Smith and Helena Bonham Carter are talking about they don't have a view in their room. So they're like, oh, they were promised a view. We don't have it. This is bad, blah, blah, blah. They're talking about it loudly enough. And Mr. Emerson's like, we have a view. And then they're like, oh, like, and it becomes this like kind of mini scandal where they're like, oh, this like brash man is like overhearing us and like butting in. And like and he has a fork in his hand. and because he's eating, like they're all eating dinner or whatever, and he takes his fork and he stabs himself in the chest with it, and he goes, "It's like, why would I need a view? It is within here that the sun shines. It's in here that the birds sing." And I'm like, that's my dude right there. I love that guy.
him too. Yeah.
He's a cool dad too, because he's like, you know what? He's just really realistic, and he's like all this like societal expectations. It doesn't even matter.
Well, and
it's like all the
bullshit.
stuff which is like what the movie is about, is like making fun of that and like the time period and like people's expectations of anyway.
And I love the part where, and I might butcher this, but where he's saying that his son is grappling with the eternal question.
Yes.
And help him find that the answer to the eternal question is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
It's genuinely, like, when you guys asked me to do the podcast, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and then between you asking me and me figuring out, like, and us like planning a day for it, I rewatched this movie and I was like, this is all I want to talk about, because like this movie, it's like I've seen it so many times, but like it's finally like it kind of started really opening itself up to me about like kind of the heavy themes are essentially.
Yeah. When was the first time that you watched this? What was your first exposure to it?
So my wife really introduced me to a lot of, like, you know, look, I'm not going to say that I'm not like book smart or whatever, but like my wife Morgan is like genuinely, I think, a very like has read many of the classics and like got to a lot of this stuff before I ever did. Like definitely was already like reading Jane Austen and the Brontes and, you know, the Russians and all these other things. And I just was not like super well read in that respect. Like I was definitely reading, you know, whatever, Please Kill Me on the middle school bus. So it's like, but like, you know, so she was already familiar with this movie. So I think early in our relationship, and we've been together for a long time, so I would have been like 20 or something like that when I watched this the first time. So that I'm 37 now. So, you know, it's almost 2 decades ago that I watched it for the first time. And I feel like it's one of these movies where we rewatch it probably like once every like 2-3 years. So this was the most recent of that like long history of rewatches.
That film, honestly, it just feels like a warm hug. It's a very like it's just a gentle, it's a lovely watch. I highly recommend it. Be prepared for full frontal male nudity.
You will see some like incredible British actors full frontal hog. It's like you have to be ready for that. There is some hog.
The scene is so funny though in the context of the movie. It's like really funny. The thing that so like the thing that kind of took me off guard at the beginning of the movie, and I definitely warmed up to it as the film went on, but just the dry delivery of some of the lines just kept making me kind of chuckle a little bit. I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but something about that I just thought was kind of humorous. But as the film went on, I was like, okay, actually, I guess this actually works for the book, because it's like a time period piece thing. Anyway.
No, for sure. I mean, like, I think it does, like, I think it really mirrors, like, Forster, I think, is funny in exactly that kind of way, where it's like, when you read it on a piece of paper, it's like, oh, it's funny as like a little chuckle or whatever. But then like sometimes when you see people like delivering it like so seriously, I think that is genuinely kind of funny.
Yeah, that's true. I know we cut you off with choosing a song.
Oh yeah, what was your British song?
Okay,
I thought of an Australian one, because we mentioned Amyl and the Sniffers earlier. That I would maybe choose. Have you heard the song "Hurts"?
Oh yeah, that would be sick. That would be really good.
Anyway,
I think for me, I would go maybe "Speed Kills" by Chubby and the Gang would be kind of funny.
Oh yeah, Chubby and the Gang is awesome.
Yeah, that would be...
we gotta do that now.
super British Chubby and the Gang cut of the nude romping scene from.
That's so funny.
From A Room with a View. That's perfect.
Yeah, this is a great film. 8 Oscar nominations.
Yeah, there was a lot.
That's awesome. I actually had no idea.
Yeah, and it won a BAFTA
for the British awards.
Yeah.
But the one thing that when me and Court, because we watched it together, the one thing like I remember like one of the first things that Court said was like, "Oh, that's like a painting." Just like how the how the shots are just set up.
Yeah.
Is really cool.
Yeah.
Especially the scenes in Italy.
Yes.
And I think the soundtrack.
There's a lot of Italian opera, which is kind of interesting. Like the music
also,
for the film.
What's the name of that composer? I think he might have scored. Remember when we did?
Oh, are you talking about Ennio Morricone, like the spaghetti western guy?
Is it the same guy? Puccini?
I don't know. You'll have to look that up.
Who
'cause
did?
I'm not sure.
Who did Once Upon a Time in the West?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I actually
okay.
didn't.
That would have been Ennio, yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't.
Am I getting mixed up? That's okay.
I actually didn't look up the soundtrack, but yeah, this just like how the shots were set up was really cool. And then I also really liked how they did a lot of old school crane shots. You know, that you would see like in like Gone with the Wind, or you know, not that massive, but like, you know, it's a big budget film, so I liked a lot of the crane shots. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, genuinely, like, when I think about this movie, I do think about it in terms of, like, they really just want you to, like, I think a lot, it's funny, it's, like, not a huge part of the movie, but, like, the Italian countryside scenes are so lush and beautiful, and then, like, then there's this whole section of the movie that's just, like, in houses. It's just, like, inside houses. It's, like, where it's, like, the characters are having these, like, very, like, terse, like emotionally like repressed conversations in rooms, and then like the scenes where like all the big shit happens is like in the great outdoors or whatever, and like so that's, I don't know, I love how like even like in the hog scene, the famous hog scene,
The hog scene
is, as we all know it, that's how the director referred to it. But like even that scene, like that's like that whole like set, like that whole, you know, whatever, like where they shot that is so wonderfully painterly as well.
Yeah, and so for people that haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. I know right now we watched it on HBO, so if you have that, you can go watch it on there.
Yeah. That's where I've watched it, I think, as well.
Yeah, I was getting mixed up. Puccini is
he's the singer, right?
Is for the opera.
Yeah, he's the operatic singer.
I don't know how I got so mixed up. Sergio Leone had Ennio Morricone.
Yeah.
Yes.
I totally am getting mixed up. But the soundtracks reminded me kind of each other because it's like sweeping orchestral.
Yeah.
And and deeply Italian as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deeply Italian for sure. Yeah, so go check it out. Thanks for picking this movie, Evan. Like it's kind of, this is definitely, like, I've heard about it, but it's definitely like not a movie like I would pick. So I'm glad that you picked this.
Yeah,
no,
I loved it.
I honestly, like, there was a part of me that was like, I gotta throw a bit of a curveball because I know we're gonna talk about punk rock. So I'm gonna bring some like a deeply not punk rock movie. But I do love, like, I love so much about this movie and what it says about, like, you know, expression and repression and like, you know, just trying to like stay true to who's actually in there instead of like what's expected of you or whatever. I think there actually are some very punk rock things about this movie, which is,
I mean, yeah, those themes are totally punk rock. I mean, it's like, it's...
I loved the transformation of Maggie Smith's character.
Oh yeah, Charlotte.
My God, yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Charlotte.
That's so
like making fun of her just because she's a warrior, but yeah.
No, her transformation from like being this overly protective, like
helicopter
chaperone,
helicopter mom kind of,
to being like, oh, like I stopped this person from like embracing something that they really cared about and like having like regret about it. And I thought that was like, I really loved that on rewatch. The other thing on the rewatch that I watched is like the scene, I don't want to, no spoilers, but like there's a scene where Daniel Day-Lewis's character is very sad and like and it's just sort of like he's such like a, you know, you're not rooting for him, but then when he's sad you're like devastated for him. It's like he's
totally
such a good actor. Oh my God.
I said that's the first moment where I connected with him.
That's like this. Yeah, that's the exact same thing. Like Court said that out loud. Like, oh, is it weird that I kind of like him now?
Exactly right. It's like it's kind of perfect because it's like in that moment, you're like, oh yeah, he kind of maybe didn't deserve that. Like he's having a really hard time, and I feel awful for him. And everything up to that moment, you're just sort of like, man, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, everybody go out and watch it. I'm going to start recommending it to people for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Before we let you go, Evan, I do have one other question that's like music related. How was the interview that you just did about beer, about the frontman breaking his foot?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How are those dudes? Because I love that band.
I love that band. They were great. I mean, like, I felt bad because I was talking to them on, like, the circumstances were strange for that whole show because for people who haven't read it, I went to a show. It was a Minneapolis, like, house show. It was, like, in a basement in Minneapolis where, you know, all the best Minneapolis shows happen in basements somewhere.
Yeah.
But this band Beer, the egg punk band from South Carolina, had been touring across the country and came to Minneapolis. And the night before, they'd been in Milwaukee. And the main dude in the band, whose name is, I believe, Dakota, got up on a bar and fell off the bar awkwardly and, like, landed tough on a bone and, like, bruised his bone. He didn't break it. He, like, just bruised it nasty. And then, but like, showed up late for the show because he'd been in the emergency room that morning, and they kept him for pretty long. And then he shows up, and he's got this, like, shiny cheetah print cane that he bought from Walgreens, and was like, it was like, just like kind of literally just like hobbling down these basement steps, hobbling across the show. And it was so funny, like, every show before that show, all these people I knew had seen, like, people in Memphis had seen the band, and like all, like, Texas and all this other stuff. And they were like, oh, that show is one of the craziest shows I've ever seen. That guy, he's like, and they're just sharing these videos of, like, the main guitarist. The best part about this show for me was that the main guitarist had a wireless guitar rig, so he could just, like, run around and spin in circles and just, like, run into the crowd and just, like, be shredding the entire time, and was, like, you know, just, like, whipping around and was just going nuts. And then the main dude was doing the same thing. Like, he was, like, kind of like, they were just sort of, like, menacing the crowd with, like, on all these shows. And so then they get to Minneapolis, and the guy cannot do that because his foot is completely fucked. So he's like trying. At one point, he, like, kind of hobbled out into the crowd, but the floor is all wet. So he was like, nope, gotta get back. So, like, it was definitely, like, I caught him, and I was like, we talked for a little bit, and he was, like, winded, and he had a long ass day. And they were about to drive straight back to Milwaukee from Minneapolis, which is like 5 hours, like 7 hours, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
And, like, so they were definitely, like, tired, but they were all so sweet, and they just, like, ripped one of the best shows I'd ever seen. So I was, like, over the moon. But that band rules. Like, that.
Yeah, Beer is so good.
Beer is so good. Like, check out all 3 of their EPs if you haven't. And then also that video, I linked it on Seesaw, so if you click on the article, it's at the bottom. But they did that live video live at the Dish Pit, which is, like, they just work in a pizza place in South Carolina, and there's, like, this video of the entire band working, like, while the dude in the band's brother is doing dishes. And so, like,
I've seen that video. It's funny.
It's really good. That set is amazing. And then it's, like, awesome. It's an awesome video too, because it's literally just like a guy doing dishes at a pizza place while they play music.
Yeah. So that's a little taste of what you can find out if you check out Evan's website. Go subscribe to Seesaw. And,
we promised you an hour or less.
Yeah.
Real quick, is there anything you want to plug for people to go check out?
I mean, honestly, like, c-saw.fun is where you can check out, where you can find pretty much everything. I talked about, like, you know, the podcast Punk This Week. I do a weekly radio show that's just on terrestrial radio, kind of, like, around the country. You can check that out on c-saw.fun. You can subscribe to the newsletter. You can figure out how to get in touch. You can get to the Discord and the Instagram and the Blue Sky and all that stuff. But yeah, c-saw.fun is the one-stop shop to find it all. So yeah, go check it out. But thank you all seriously so much. And this is a blast. I was like, literally, like,
fun.
I was so excited to get to talk about this movie, and so I
Instead of
appreciate
talking
Yeah.
music.
I know.
I was happy to talk about music too. But
Yeah.
it was like, but it was also just like, man, this is so nice that I get a chance to like share my love of this movie that I've like, been carrying around with me for all these years. So, so thank you all so much. Seriously.
No, it was genuinely a pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think this is going to go down as one of my favorite interviews that
Yeah.
we've done. So,
So yeah, thanks
Yeah.
thanks for all the music that you share, Evan. Like I said, me and my wife are just huge fans of what you do, and we're just grateful that you're in the the punk internet sphere.
Zeitgeist.
So even though that we're in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, we can still feel connected with what's going on in the music scene in the U.S. and all that. Even though we can't go to a lot of these cool shows, but yeah, it's just kind of awesome that technology allows us to do that.
Hey, that's honestly, it means a lot to me because it's like, again, growing up in West Virginia, like I just really didn't have like shows that I could go to, but I had the internet. So like,
Yeah.
it means a lot for people to say that like my thing or whatever is like, helpful or like cool or like community oriented in any way. So it means a lot. And, shout out your all's music. Like I'm just such a fan of what you guys are doing too.
Oh,
So
thanks.
yeah, let's keep chatting. Let's do this again in some capacity.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Will do. Okay, thanks again. See you, Evan.
Yeah. Thank you.